Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for coming back to the Citrine Path. Today, again, we have myself, Amber, and my amazing co-host.
And I'm Patsy from Violet Elements. Before we get started here, we just want to share real quick that this is our journeys and our guest journey on their spiritual life and their herbal life. So, everything we talk about here, we do recommend you do your own research and definitely talk to your provider before you start any herbal remedies or home remedies.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Citrine Path. So today we're going to be kind of talking about natural remedies to help get you through the summer. Have you been doing anything fun lately, Mom?
I don't know. I feel like I've been really busy, but I don't remember what I've been doing.
Man,
Um, I I did finish my yoga studio, or not yoga. How do I say yoga? My Reiki studio. So it's done. That's why, if you could tell from the video, I'm sitting on the floor because I had to rearrange my office to get stuff out to take down there. So it's kind of like in shambles. So we're just sitting it on the floor today. But yeah, I think it's taken up the majority of my time lately.
that's cool, Mom. And where is your building so people can go see you?
So in my itty bitty little town of Emmett, we are on Washington. So we're in the second wave, is the name of our little building. There's me, an esthetician and a massage therapist that are in like a little studio.
That's super exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. And some fun stuff I'm doing on Saturday. We have a 5K we're gonna go do. So
Ooh.
yeah, it's a mud run.
Oh, fun. You have to go like under the mud and stuff, right? Yeah,
Oh,
swim in a mud puddle.
yeah, there's like 6 or 7, I think, different obstacles. One of them's a huge blow up water slide. You have to go down into a big like mud pond. So I'm gonna get all kinds of mud and dirt up in this fro, but it will be fine. I'll wash it out.
So what made you decide to do that?
Oh, we've wanted to do it for a long time, but every summer I'm pregnant.
That's
So
true.
this is the first summer in a long time I haven't been.
I know, and I said about that just to let you know, just throwing that out there.
I know. Yeah. Especially since little Malachi's getting bigger. It's like set in that he's our last baby and we're not gonna have any more. Yeah, it's a little rough.
Tiny Star is very cute.
He's very cute, but he's already got an attitude from his sister, for sure.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So,
So,
one cool thing, I remember when I was a kid, I always used to get told by all kinds of different people because I get sunburnt really badly. Like,
mm,
all of us get sunburnt so bad. So, I was always told to put apple cider vinegar on your sunburn. So, Tyler got super sunburnt the other day, and I told him to put apple cider vinegar on it. And I was like, I'm not really sure if it works. Hold up, let me do some research on it real quick. So, apple cider vinegar has anti-inflammatory properties, which is why it helps like GI tract um, issues also because it helps with the inflammation. And it's also an antiseptic, so it helps clean the bacteria and stuff off of it, helps with the inflammation and the swelling, and helps with the itchiness of your sunburn. Which I thought was super cool.
interesting. I mean, I have heard people say that, but I never looked it up or did it because I usually don't get sunburned. I
Yeah, I always heard it
I
as a
haven't.
kid. What? Go ahead.
I said, yeah, it just never needed it, but that's interesting.
Yeah, and most of the time what I do is I just put it in a big bowl, like a towel, and just add some apple cider vinegar on the towel. And let the towel soak it up, and then you can kind of wring out the extra so it's not like running on you. Um,
Mm,
and then just lay the towel on whatever sunburnt.
interesting.
Yeah, it works great. So I am. looking in the Lost Book of Herbal Remedies by Dr. Nicole Applin. Um,
Oh, I like her.
I know. I also have. Check this out. Oh,
I
you
was gonna
can't.
say, did you get the new one?
Yes. The Forager's Guide to Wild Foods, Edible Plants, Lichens, Mushrooms, and Seaweeds. The Northern American edition by Nicole Applin, PhD.
When
Jim
did you
got it
get
for
that
me.
one? Ugh, I
Jim
have
got
not
it.
got that one yet. But I have like 50,000. This one is Home Remedies Handbook. But most of these ones are like, I always snag them every time I see them. I'm trying to look for a published date here. This was republished in '93. Doesn't say when the original one was. But I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I always find them at garage sales. They're like this weird home remedies, home wellness book. Anyway, tell me about yours because I love that lady.
I know, me too. Yeah, she, as I'm looking for this, a lot of people know her because she was on Alone.
Alone. Yes.
And the first couple of times I heard about it, I was like, "What? I don't know." Sure enough, yes, she was. She was on two different seasons. So the first time she was on, um, she was in an
She
area
was on
she
season
knew.
2.
Huh?
Sorry, there's I was talking over you.
Oh,
I said the first time she was on was season 2.
yeah. And then they had another one which was like bringing back the runner-ups kind of a situation. It was like the All-Stars or something. Um, anyways, the first time she went, she like thrived. Like she did amazing, but she has a autoimmune disorder, and that's what led her into herbalism itself. So the first season she did amazing. She was the only person so far that has ever thrived on the show. And she just said, you know what, I'm done. She was there for I think like 2 months, a month and a half or something stupid. She said, I'm done, I'm ready to go home and see my kids. So she did. She left and went home. The next time she was on, she was in an area she didn't know, so it was different plants. She had a hard time finding the plants she needed for her autoimmune disorder. So she did pretty all right. She made it pretty far, but she said it was just too difficult trying to find the plant she needed, and it got to the point where it was hard for her to move and stuff, and she was in pain. So she went home. But still, for, you know, almost 2 months in the wild without any help from any outside forces is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and that like brings up a good point that we usually when people ask us like, where do you start with finding out herbs and stuff like that? Like learn what's in your area and what you have around you're at because a lot of the times the plants are going to be very similar across the nation. Um, but then like in her case, if there's something that you need or that you work with all the time for a certain reason, learn other plants that do the same thing. Like, and that's what I like to do because like people ask me all the time, well, what's this plant? What's that plant? I don't know all the plants because usually how I do it is I have a need for something. So then I look up what plants work for that, what best way to take them, what how to identify them, um, what bad lookalikes there are, that kind of stuff. And then I add it to like my inventory.
I always start I what I've been liking to do lately is figuring out what's in my backyard and kind of how to use it. Yeah, it's the same idea, figuring out what's around you first. Because I think, herbalism, if you're really going to get into all the plants, it's going to be something you'll be learning for the rest of your life. Like there are so many different plants. Once you figure out, like you think you have all the plants down, and then get into the mushrooms. If you think you have the
Yeah.
mushrooms done, then get into the lichens. Endless amount of plants. And then if you find everything here in the North America, go to South America. Like it's insane. As like okay, so for allergies, because I know that dad struggles with allergies really bad every year. Is there anything that you guys do natural remedy wise to kind of help aid his allergies every season?
Um, we use um, a lot of oils. And so there's quite a few oils that we diffuse like at night. We have a blend that we use that we put in the diffuser at night, and then he puts it on him. So usually it's on the bottom of his feet or sometimes on his chest. But a lot of the oils that are in the blend have to do with inflammation. So we have found that that helps him to not snore. It reduces the swelling and stuff in his sinus cavities, his nasal cavity, all that stuff, which then reduces his snoring, which makes him sleep better, and that he's not as congested in the mornings. And he go through the day pretty well. He still does take an allergy medicine usually every day. Um, but even before we started doing that, he would still struggle with it. So that's like the big thing that we do. Um, and he doesn't, since we started doing the oils and stuff, he's kind of gotten away from teas. He used to drink a lot of teas for allergies, but it was the same thing. We would not necessarily treat, like, we wouldn't give him something for decongestion. We would give him something and try to treat what was causing it. So, like inflammation in the sinus cavities, um, or like his nasal drip. That's like one of the things that he got from his time in the military with the injuries that he has. Um, so that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and mom just had a good point right there. She doesn't treat the problem, she tries to treat what the start of the problem. So not even treat is not even the right thing to say. Um, Try to aid in that. So instead of saying, like for me, for example, I get chronic migraines because I have scoliosis and some other back issues that cause me to have migraines for long periods of time. So instead of taking a Tylenol to help my migraine, I'll take or put some anti-inflammatory cream on my back and on my neck and then do some yoga to try and stretch my back out to get the muscles and the bones to relax. That that's causing the headache. So I think that was a very good point that you just made, Mom. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. We try to take something that supports the system that is having the misfire versus just treating the symptoms.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think an herb that just reminded me of what you're talking about is like goldenrod. I
Hmm.
remember you guys used that for a short time there, and he would put that in his tea, and it seemed to help a lot. Because it is the anti-inflammatory also, and then also helps with allergies and stuff like that on top of it.
Yeah, and that's one of our main ingredients in the Golden Touch salve that we have in Citrine Enlightenment's inventory. Um, it does. It has goldenrod, lavender, mullein, chives, and mint in it. So he uses that. The silly guy, even sometimes if he's having like a super rough day, he'll take some and he'll put it like right on the inside of his nostrils. So it absorbs into his blood skin there. But um, smells trigger a lot of things within our body too. So the smell of the lavender, the smell of the mint, which both aid in like the drainage and stuff. Same thing with mullein. It's a I can never say this word right. It's an expressant,
There you go. You
whatever.
got it. You got it.
Who was that? Did I say pretty
Yeah.
darn close that time? Um, so it helps like reduce swelling, helps get things moving, reduces all of that stuff. But it's not necessarily a decongestion.
Yeah, no. And mullein, yeah. I love that plant. It's got so many uses. And it's in every single state of the US. So if you can't find goldenrod, you can find mullein. Oh, another cool thing is it's something that I haven't heard many people talk about before. But if you get local bee honey and if you eat it,
Mhm.
the bees, go around to the local wildflowers and stuff like that and collect the pollen from it and then make the honey from the pollen, right? So if you start eating local wildflower honey, your body already has those pollens and stuff in its system, so it won't be as harsh going into spring and summertime, which I think is super cool.
Yeah. And you can make infused honey. So like one of the ones that we we get our honey from a local bee guy that lives down the street from us. And so I super excited because we buy several jars of it to get us through the winter. Like we ran out a few months ago, so I'm excited to get more. But you could take that and add cloves of garlic to the honey and let it sit. And then garlic itself has a lot of properties that help support like your immune system and stuff. So like if you're starting to feel under the weather or you were exposed to somebody else that was super sick or something like that, taking that honey with that garlic infused in it is really great. Um, I like to take curly top gumweed um, and infuse it in honey, and you literally just take the buds of the flower off um, and stick it in the honey. We do like a warm processing, so we'll double boil it and do that for a little bit, and then strain out the flowers. But that is curly top gumweed is an expressant also. So like if you're starting to feel like you got gunk in your chest and stuff, you could take that honey, which will help aid in the support of your allergies, and then the plant, which is an expressant, which will help move stuff out, so that way it's not leading to more illnesses or something more severe.
Yeah, and I think the honey is super cool because you can add it on top of your other teas, and it'll be like, you know, St. John's wort is also a good one to take because it's also an anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial. Um, so it's also expressant also.
I know that word gets me. I always want to say something else that like means the same thing, but is not quite
I
right.
was, yeah, I always want to say like expectorant. I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so St. John's wort is, I think, one of the first herbs you should learn about if you're getting into herbalism because it literally helps with everything from the head to your toes. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and isn't that one you added to your quit smoking blend?
Yeah. Yeah, because it helps with drug withdrawals from every kind. So it helps with nicotine withdrawals because it blocks the receptors in your brain. Opiates, alcohol, and like if you're trying to come off of SARS and stuff, there's been some research talking about how it can be effective helping that because it helps with like OCD and stuff like that. Pretty amazing herb for sure. But yeah, I've taken most of the tinctures and our stop smoking blends off the market as of right now because I have to figure out a way to do the FDA thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the fun that is.
So
I,
um I looked up what was the top home remedies that most people searched for,
mhm.
like on Google and stuff. So I thought this was funny. Um, so the number one was for nausea, diarrhea, or stomach aches was
Oh.
the number one searched home remedy. And the one item that helps with all of those is ginger.
Mhm.
No, no things there.
And
The
peppermint
second
too.
one, which I thought, yes, yes. Oh, and just a fun fact, lime essential oil. And again, like I know stuff, but my brain does not keep the science stuff in it. So maybe we'll have to look it up and talk about it because I'm sure we'll do another one of these. But lime essential oil, and of course, get one that's graded for internal use. Um, it helps you to stop throwing up.
Yeah, because didn't you say
Yeah,
it's an enzyme in it and a lime?
yeah.
That's super cool.
But the science, what it is, like if I stopped and think about it, I could probably pull it out. But my brain's like, oh, you know what it does? That information's not important, so it doesn't remember it as easily.
Your ADHD-ness says, "It's okay. This part I think is cool. It made me happy. I'll just forget about the rest."
Yeah, yeah, it's very weird. Um, okay, so the second home remedy, which I think this one is really funny, it was oriented towards sex. Okay. But what they what they actually looked up was how to cure migraines during sex. So it was probably some dude that was like, "Oh, my wife always says we can't have sex because she has a headache." You know how that's like a running joke. So they must have looked up something along those lines. But that isn't that funny? Um, that's the number two searched home remedy. Um, the third one was for heart disease and certain cancer cures. And then the one remedy that does both of those is green tea.
Yeah, dandelions
The fourth,
also. What? Yeah, I have a delay today. Dandelions also anti-carcinogenic, a really strong one.
yeah, and dandelions is super good for your liver. It does all kinds of supports healthy body function.
Yeah, it helps with your
And
blood
then you could also
sugar.
make coffee out of it. So, side note, there is a really cool story, and I'm pretty sure you could find it on YouTube now. About a lady, how her family survived the Great Depression off eating dandelions. She said they would literally, because it was like one of the only plants that was growing during all of that. And she said they would literally just walk around and pick it out of people's yard and eat it. And the time that I saw the story, she was like in her late 80s and she still did it. She's like, "Yeah, I have dandelion salad like a couple times during the week." And she's like, "If I run out at my place," she goes to the neighbors and asks if she could pick them. So she goes out there with her little gardening tool and pulls the dandelions out of people's yard,
That's so funny.
which I saw. Yeah, super interesting. I mean,
No,
she's being active. She's, doing her thing. She's outside. She's grounding. She's taking the dandelions. Like there's so much about it, but it's a cool story. So anyway, sorry, sidebar. The fourth one, oh, I think I just said this one was the garlic, the uh, cholesterol and blood pressure,
oh, you did not say
which
that.
I didn't say that one. Okay.
No.
So that was the fourth most Googled one, and
Oh, that's
it
interesting.
has the common denominator there is garlic. So garlic will help support a lower blood cholesterol and blood pressure levels.
Um,
Um,
we have a tea I made. It's called Under Pressure. And it's targeted for lowering blood pressure.
oh, I forgot about that one. So that one, we don't have to give away too much information. But wasn't that somebody that reached out to us and we kind of have like a base blend that we like to stick with. But then like that's what we're always saying that like we could customize it. Like we could literally just substitute a couple of the herbs, add something in it and make something that tastes good, but is also help support whatever your goal is or like something you're dealing with. Um, but again, if you didn't have that issue and you drink the tea, it's not going to do anything. Like it's not going to mess anything up or um, go the other way. Like people that don't have um, heart disease and cancer still drink green tea and it doesn't hurt me. Um,
No, no, it's just like changing the motor, like the oil on your car. Now you can change the oil whenever you want to. It's not going to make a difference. But if the oil already needs to be changed, you need to change it.
yeah. Most of the other Google searches had to do with cold symptoms or the flu. So a couple of them are asking like chicken noodle soup, does it really help cure your thing? But most chicken noodle soup is some type of broth, most of the time chicken broth. With broth itself has a lot of good stuff for you. But then you have herbs. You put onions. You put different seasonings in it, which seasonings are herbs. So I just always think that's really funny when people are like, "Does chicken soup really work?" Well, yeah, you literally are making this like high dense herb based broth with protein. So of course it's gonna make
And
you
s-
feel better.
and salt.
Um,
No, especially if you're dehydrated, the sodium will help your body
mhm.
absorb the liquid and nutrient you're trying to absorb. Um, but my one thing I always say to anybody who's asking me about cold and flu, like to help you, I think you should start preparing yourself to get sick beforehand and just like
Yeah.
prevent yourself from getting sick. Don't even let yourself get to that point. Like, elderberry is really good at helping boost your immune system. Just drinking orange juice helps boost your immune system. Like making sure, you're getting vitamin D because we learned with your stuff, vitamin D pretty much makes your body go round. So do those little things to help prevent it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, we still get sick. I have three little beautiful grubby children that play in the dirt and we get sick. But most of the time it's only like a couple of days and we're good. We're fine after that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all good points too. And most of the time when people are starting to get sick, they go lay down and bundle up, like go outside, get some fresh air, even if it's just sitting in a lawn chair, put your feet on the ground, like um, stuff like that. But yeah, I do like the idea of getting your body the most support it needs ahead of time. Um, and, like good barriers. So, a lot of people that use the antibacterial soap all the time or lots of hand sanitizer, you know, just be aware of stuff like that too, that you're like exposing yourself to.
Yeah, and I mean it's a normal thing for everybody to get sick every once in a while. Like that's how your body gets antibodies to be able to fight it off the following year. Like if you didn't get sick and you didn't get those antibodies, you would have to be like the bubble boy or you would constantly get sick. So, I mean, I always say every year it's cold season. It's time for us to go get our yearly cold and just call it a day. But I always anticipate at least a couple of sicknesses every year. Most of the time they're back to back. Once our system gets down the first time, it's like wham, the next one, wham, the next one. And then we're done for the season. Oh, but one cool
Yeah,
thing I wanted to say
definitely.
earlier, my little side note. You were talking about digestive issues, and one of the best things for digestive tract issues is actually cabbage. Most people say, cabbage gives them gas and upsets their stomach, but actually in the core of the cabbage has pepstine or pepstine, something like that, where Pepto-Bismol comes from.
Really?
Yeah. So most of the time people like
That's interesting.
I remember when I was a kid, we'd take the cabbage and whack it on the counter and pull the core out of the middle and throw it in the trash. So that core is actually
Yeah.
what your body needs to actually break it down and help break other food down. So if like let's say if I've fed my family like not the greatest food for a couple of days, I'll make us cabbage and it'll be like 2 days of like, oh, my stomach doesn't feel so hot. Like, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom. And then after that, we're golden.
Interesting. Huh. So I wonder if it's also in like, the that are like super hard, that's attached to the, I don't know, that's super interesting. Well, then if the reason why an upset stomach and are gassy stuff when they eat it is because it's breaking the food down that's in their stomach on a different level.
Yeah, which is very possible. I think I remember I looked
That
at a
that's
scientific
interesting.
study that was talking about like inflammation and leaky gut and like all these GI tracts of Americans today. And I think it was like a stupid, ungodly number of Americans struggle with some sort of GI tract something of some form. Our food is just has lost a lot of its nutritional value. We don't eat a lot of the bitter greens and stuff that our gut needs to actually break food down. Um, it being like, salads, spinach, kale, that kind of thing. And a lot of the stuff, if you just find a new way to prepare it, that's really not bad.
Well, yeah, like I always thought I hated spinach, but I didn't like it. But every time I ever eat it, that like as a kid, was like out of a can or was like super cooked down. And then once it gets to a certain stage, it's just slimy. And I think probably more the texture of it that grows the nuts of it because a fresh spinach, like or slightly steamed spinach, it has a total taste to it than like canned spinach or uh, spinach that's like super cooked down. But when you heat it like that, you're
You're like really
I think
glitchy.
you froze. Your internet is dumb, by the way.
Oh, I hate
I'm
this
not a
internet.
fan.
No, nobody get the T-Mobile home internet. It's stupid. But we have a minute left. I feel like this week went super fast.
It did, and I don't like the thing. Like I've been super busy this whole week, and like I don't even know what I did, but it's probably that this is already.
I didn't understand a word you said. So, if any of you guys have any questions about home remedies, what our favorite ones to do or use are, any questions about maybe what herbs or plants to use in certain situations, let us know below. Plants is my favorite topic and pretty much my whole personality. So I will talk with you guys about plants and herbs for days and days and days. So that's going to be the end of this week's episode. If you guys, like I said, have questions, drop them down below, message us. Please don't forget to give us a big thumbs up, subscribe, send it to your friend, and join us for our next episode. Remember, we do not treat, cure, or diagnose any illness. So if you have any questions about anything we talked about today, please reach out to your provider.
So we are always so honored and blessed that you